All right. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Couch Warrior podcast. As always, I'm your host, Mike, and today we're going to be breaking down PFL Battle of the Giants. So, pretty interesting card, only 9 fights, so this shouldn't be too long of a video, and I will have timestamps up for everybody who doesn't want to watch the full thing if you want to skip around. And I already have a few bets, a few big dogs, and then a few bets that I have lined up that I want to play, but currently waiting on the limits to open up a little bit. So, first fight of the night, we have Tariq Ismail versus Taha Bendaoud. Tariq is 8-1-0, 34 years old, 5'6" with a 67-inch reach. On the other side, Taha, he's 3-0, undefeated. He's going to be 29, so he's 5 years younger, and he's going to be 3 inches taller. I went into this thinking like maybe they were throwing Tariq like an easy fight, and maybe I'd lay chalk on him, which is definitely not something I want to do. And then I taped it and refreshed myself on Tariq and introduced myself to Taha. And honestly, I like this kid Taha. I'm waiting on the line. I'm gonna watch and see what happens. I'm already pretty tempted at plus 140, but I want to see if it maybe gets a little bit better. But the way I see it, Tariq, he's more experienced. He's fought the better guys, I guess, because he fought Sopaj, who's in the UFC now, lost that fight. And the thing is, though, like the rest of his competition is terrible. His first PFL fight was a rematch against a guy who I believe is like 40 years old or close to that, like 37 or something. And I just don't like his style at all. He's incredibly low volume, is Tariq. He has some power, but not really because he's knocking out pretty much nobody. Almost every single fight of his goes to a decision because he's not doing anything. He can kind of wrestle, but not really. It's like nothing special. His takedown defense is fine. It's pretty good. But overall, I don't really know what he has to offer. Like, aside from some power, maybe a little bit of wrestling and decent striking with terrible output, I don't really know what's up with him. And then on the Taha side, I think a lot of people are wiki capping because he went to a split with a guy who was 1-1. But that guy who's 1-1 is actually not that bad. His other loss was to another guy who's really good and who's 5-1 now. And he's a pretty good fighter, is the guy who Taha went to split with. But Taha himself, he's a good striker. His output is much better. He will switch stances. He can fight southpaw or orthodox. He throws a ton of kicks. The leg kicks are really, really good. In his last fight, the guy's leg was completely welted up, just brutalized that leg. The hands are solid. He could be a little bit hittable at times, and he can be taken down. So those are two concerns. But Tariq, again, in terms of Taha being hittable, Tariq doesn't throw much, and he doesn't have a ton of power. And then in terms of the takedown defense, Tariq's wrestling is okay. It's not really like that amazing, and it's not really his thing. He prefers to strike normally. So I'm not really crazy about Tariq, and I think Taha is live. I think he can outstrike Tariq. I think he can keep it on the feet. His takedown defense isn't the best, like I said, but it's actually like pretty decent at least. He good underhooks, decent hips, and the get-ups are decent too. So for me, this is a dog or pass all day long. I would not put my money on Tariq no matter what, but Taha I'm definitely interested in. And he's 29 and he's only got 3 fights, so he's green, but I can expect improvements from him, whereas Tariq is not going to be improving at this point of his career. He's a finished product, I think, and I think that Taha could beat him. So even if he didn't improve at all since his last fight, I think Taha can beat him, and I do expect some improvements. So I do like him here. I'm going to rock with Taha and possibly place a bet on him. Next up, we have Ibragimov versus Nacho Campos. Ibragimov 7-0 undefeated, 20 years old, 5'8", don't have his reach. Campos on the other side, he's 5-0 undefeated and don't have his age, and he's 5'10". So Ibragimov is an absolute beast. He's still pretty green. He's got some work to do, but he's a great grappler. He ran through, I believe it was Josh Reed. Yeah, absolutely ran through him, just took him down and subbed him immediately. I think it was like 50 seconds or something like that. Really good ground game, really good wrestling. Striking needs some work, but it's getting there. It's not bad. He's a decent striker, but most of his work is on the ground. Now, on the other side with Campos, not a ton of tape on him, and his competition has been horrible, like absolutely terrible. And even then, he's still getting taken down. One guy, I think he was like 5-9 was his record, and he actually took Campos down and was able to take his back, which was a terrible look because Ibragimov will do that in his sleep then, if that's what's happening with Campos. It looks like Campos is training at like a jiu-jitsu center gym. I can't really tell based off his Instagram, but that's what it looks like to me. So maybe he'll be hard to sub, but just seeing him getting taken down and giving up his back, just not a great look for me. So I like Ibragimov here. Can't bet him. He's like minus 1400, and his ITD props are all cooked. I lean towards him getting a sub, and the sub is like plus 140 or something like that. But it's like one of those fights where a guy's a huge favorite. They could probably win either way. Which way are they going to choose, Because he could get on the back and then just ground and pound. That's how all his knockouts tend to come. But at the same time, I can see him locking up a sub. So we'll see. Probably won't do anything because if I bet this kid by sub and he comes out and TKOs him, it's going to be a waste of a unit. So I'll probably just leave it alone. But I do like Ibragimov here. Surprise, surprise. Next up, we got Makkasharip Zaynukov versus Dedrek Sanders. Zaynukov 15-4-0. He's 5'10". Sanders 9-4-0. He's 34, and he is 5'7", so he's 3 inches shorter. Now, Dedrek, he's coming off of the win over Sergio Ocasio. Cannot believe Ocasio was minus 275 in that fight. Ocasio should never be that much of a favorite, and Dedrek did a great job. Even though Ocasio didn't really seem to be himself, Dedrek came out, finished him, and it was a good look. Dedrek's a pretty good fighter. He's a solid striker. He seems to have pretty good takedown defense. Had a relatively close fight with Luis Pena that he lost, but he did a decent job defending takedowns. To me, he looked like the better striker. He does have a bit of power, and yeah, he's pretty solid. But at the end of the day, Pena did take him down. Pena was able to get on the back. I don't remember if he was fully locked in, though, but he was on the back. So those are concerned. He was actually fully locked in. So that's a concern against a guy in Zaynukov who is training with the Khabib fellas. He is a very good wrestler. His striking is okay. It's developing still, I think. It's not bad. He's a solid striker. He's not throwing bombs. He's going straight down the pipe for the most part. And I think he can compete with Sanders, but Sanders might be actually a little bit of a better striker, and he might hit a little harder. So I do expect Zaynukov to wrestle. He is a very good wrestler. I think he will get the takedowns. I think he will be able to finish Sanders on the ground. I personally think he's going to submit him, but maybe a TKO is possible too. But here we don't have to really pick a method pick a KO or sub, because the ITD is plus 110 or plus 140 even. I don't remember exactly. And I was very surprised by that, because he's like minus 450 on the money line. I think the only reason that it's that low is that I think that people are kind of wiki capping, and they're seeing that Zaynukov goes to a decision most of the time. But Zaynukov's been fighting really good fighters. He's been fighting great competition. I mean, one of them, I think the second to last fight was Alex da Silva. This third to last fight. Nagibin is solid. This guy Kabdula is solid. This guy Sargis is solid. Dakayev, the guy who beat him, also really good. He's fought really solid competition. His losses all come to really, really good fighters. Roman Bogatov is on there, and that was like early on in his career. Overall, like he's losing to really good fighters, and the guys he's not finishing are also really good, even when he's beating them. So I think that he will win this fight. I kind of want to parlay him with something, but I don't know with what. So I might just go with the ITD, because even though Sanders is pretty tough and he is a solid fighter in his own right, I do think that Zaynukov can finish him. Moving on, we've got my first bet of the night. We have Raufeon Stots versus Marcos Breno. Stots is 22-0. He's 35 years old, 5'7" with a 72.5-inch reach. Breno 15-3-0. He's 26, so he's 9 years younger. No idea. I had no idea he was this young. Totally forgot. 5'5", so he's a little small, 2 inches shorter. Don't have his reach. I did play Breno here. I played him at plus 475 just for a half unit. It's a small shot. Look, Stots is elite. He's one of the best in the world as a bantamweight. He's a phenomenal wrestler. He's a good striker. He has good cardio. Really, really good fighter overall. But he's a good striker, but he's not a phenomenal striker, right? He could be outstruck, and he has been chinned twice, right? He's been chinned by Apache Mix with a kick, or it was like a knee situation, and then he also got knocked out by Merab back in the day with a spinning back fist. So what I took from that is if you catch him off guard with something explosive, you can knock him out. And Breno, I don't know if you guys are familiar, but dude, it's good. He is very solid. He's a great striker. He has a ton of power for that little frame. His takedown defense is also pretty good. And I think A, he can knock out Stots. And I think B, if he can defend the takedowns, I think he can outstrike Stots. Now, he's probably going to get taken down plenty here. It's going to be about working back up to his feet, defending as much as you can. And I think he can do those things to make this fight close or to catch Stots and knock him out. You look at the Sabatello fight, right? And he was able to hurt Sabatello multiple times, I think twice. Definitely was outstriking him. And he defended a lot of the takedowns. Now, he did end up getting taken down in the second round and getting subbed. He does slow down a little bit, but when he did get taken down there, that was actually because he hurt Sabatello, and then he overextended with his strikes. He leaned over, and then Sabatello just went under, took him down, and then within like a minute, I think he was able to get on the back and sub him. So that's a concern, and Stotts could definitely do something like that. But at plus 475 for a half unit, I'm more than willing to take the shot on a guy like Breno. He's already really good, and he's only 26 years old and already has all this experience. He's fought plenty of grapplers before, also beat up Josh Hill, who's a solid wrestler, not on the level of Stotts or Sabatello, but also a solid wrestler. And yeah, overall, I just think that I'll pick Stotts to win, but I think the line is really bananas. I think people are wiki capping this really hard, just looking at that Sabatello loss and saying, oh, he lost to Sabatello, he got subbed, and Stotts beat Sabatello. So they're kind of just wiki capping it. That's how I feel. But I think Breno is a good spot here, and we can move on. This fight is absolutely sick. We have AJ McKee versus Paul Hughes. McKee is 22-1-0. He's 29 years old, 5'10" with a 73.5-inch reach. Hughes on the other side, 12-1-0. He's 27. He's 2 years younger. He's going to be 1 inch shorter, and he's going to be at a 3-inch reach disadvantage. This is such a good fight. I think that McKee is the rightful favorite. I lean like if I'm just making a pick, who do I think is going to win? I'll lean McKee. But I think in terms of betting, it's dog or pass here because Hughes is very solid on the feet. I think this is a close fight, but I favor Hughes. I think Hughes hits harder. I think he's a lot more dangerous in the pocket. His kicks are really good. The striking is really good all around. And McKee's a good striker. He's maybe a little bit better at range. If they're at distance, McKee will probably be able to land cleaner. He's got a good jab and a good 1-2 down the pipe. But if Hughes can back him up, get in his face, and get in the pocket, I think Hughes can have a lot of success. I like how Hughes goes to the body. I like how he mixes targets with his kicks. Just a really great striking game, and I think he has more power than McKee. Where it gets interesting is the grappling, because McKee's an elite grappler. He's a really good wrestler. He has very, very good jiu-jitsu. He's super smooth on the ground. He's got nice back takes, and I am a little bit worried about that because Hughes could be taken down, but it does not happen often. And he's fought some solid grapplers like Vucenic, like what's his name? He's not on here. Damn it. I need to be able to say it. Hendon. James Hendon. So he was able to defend against him, and you can tell, great takedown defense, great sprawl, great hand control, good underhooks, and he's very good at scrambling on the ground as well. He gets his own takedowns. He's got pretty good wrestling. I don't necessarily think he's going to take down McKee too much. McKee could be taken down. We've seen it, but I don't know if that's going to be Hughes's game here. I think he's probably going to try to strike with him. And if he does take down McKee, I'd be a little bit worried about the subs from bottom. But Hughes does seem to have really good submission defense. And if he can just keep this on the feet, I favor him because I do think overall he's a better striker and he's more dangerous and he's really solid in the pocket and he's able to get the fight there. He fights with a lot of forward pressure. The fight with Bobby King wasn't honestly the best look. Finishing Bobby is a good look because a lot of good fighters have fought him and not finished him. But Hughes is getting hit a lot there. So that concerned me a bit. But overall, I still favor Hughes in the striking here. So I'm looking at Hughes as money line at plus 160. I don't hate it. And I'm also looking at the fight goes at minus 155. I think that's a solid play because I don't really think either one finishes the other. Maybe McKee could get a sub and maybe Hughes can knock him out, but I don't really think either is going to happen because McKee's pretty durable and Hughes has good submission defense. So I'll pick McKee, but it's dog or pass in terms of betting. And I do like that fight goes as well. Next up, we have Husein Kadimagomaev versus Zafar Mohsen. Husein is 11-1-0. He's 25 years old, 5'10". Mohsen, 13-4-0, 29 years old. He's 4 years older, and he's going to be 3 inches shorter. So I'll pick Kadimagomaev, Husein, but he is like minus 1,200, something crazy like that. He's another guy, good grappler. Striking is okay. I'm not crazy about his striking. I think actually Mohsen will be competitive with him on the feet. Mohsen, a southpaw striker, has a decent amount of power, solid combos, good kicks. I think he might even be the better striker here of the two of them. And his takedown defense isn't bad either, but he could be taken down. And I think that Husein will be able to take him down, control him, maybe finish him. But most of Husein's finishes come later in fights, and Mohsen is pretty durable. He's got a decent ground game. He's not super easy to submit, and he's not super easy to take down. So the way I'm looking to tackle this fight is I kind of like the over 1.5 at plus 110. I think that's a pretty solid price. I think people maybe are just looking at the minus 1,200 favorite and saying, oh, obviously he's going to finish because he has to cover. But I don't necessarily, he could finish, but I think it'll happen later in the fight. I don't think it'll happen before the 7.5 minute mark, at least not at a high clip. So that at plus money, I like that spot because obviously I think Husein wins, but nothing you can do with that line. If you made me bet a money line, I'd be more likely to bet Mohsen, but I don't really want to do that either because I do think he'll probably lose. So I'm going to stick with that over. And as a pick, I'll pick Husein. All right. Next up, we have our first title fight. We have Johnny Eblen versus Fabian Edwards 2. Eblen is 15-0 undefeated. He's 32 years old, 6'1" with a 74-inch reach. Edwards on the other side, 13-3-0. He's 31. He's 1 year younger, same height, and he's going to have a 5-inch reach advantage. So this is a rematch. In their first fight, Eblen got him pretty good, but I thought I took a few good things away from that fight. So first of all, Edwards defended every single takedown. That was a really good look. Eblen was not able to take him down. The takedown defense of Edwards looked really solid. And then in the Aaron Jeffries fight, again, it looked really good. He's good in the clinch. And the other thing that I noticed in that fight against Eblen, the first one, was he's a cleaner striker. I think he is the cleaner striker. Eblen was able to hurt him and ultimately finish him with a big shot. But in terms of who's actually throwing the clean strikes down the pipe, it's Edwards. I like his kicks. I like that he was targeting the legs against Eblen. I think if that fight got extended, I think that might have paid off a little bit for him. And if he can just keep it at range a little bit more where he's more comfortable and keep putting out straight punches, the jabs, the 1-2s, keep it clean, straight down the pipe with the hands and then work the legs, use those kicks, I think he can beat Eblen this time. I really do. We saw Eblen with Impa. If he's not getting the takedowns, he's only like he's an elite fighter because he can also wrestle, and then he has the power to compete on the feet. But if he's not wrestling, he's only just a solid fighter. Like his striking's not that great. If this was a kickboxing match, I think Edwards would be the favorite. So for me at plus 310, I felt like Edwards was a good play. I did play him at plus 310. I put a half unit on it, and I do like that spot. And then the other thing I'm looking at for this fight is the fight goes at plus 100. I like that as well. I know that Eblen knocked him out last time out, but not every fight plays out the same. I think that, like I said, I think Edwards is going to be more careful this time and going to try to stay at range a little bit more. And if he does that, I think we are going to go over. I think we're going to go all 25 minutes. I don't really think Edwards is going to finish Eblen, who is very durable, but I do think that Edwards can win, and I think he's most likely to win by decision. So I'm probably going to play the fight goes as well. Kind of double dipping, but not really. Hopefully at least one of them hits. Ideally, both will hit, and we'll see what happens. But for now, all I have is the Edwards money line there at plus 310. All right, next up, we have a great fight. We got Cris Cyborg versus Larissa Pacheco. Cyborg is 27-2-0, 39 years old, 5'8" with a 69-inch reach. Pacheco, 23-4-0. She's 30. She's 9 years younger, going to be 2 inches shorter, and she's going to have the same reach. So everybody's crazy about Pacheco here. They're loving it. They're laying not crazy, but they're laying pretty big chalk on her at this point. She's what? She's minus 152 against Cyborg. I wonder when the last time Cyborg was an underdog. Probably when she fought Nunes, but maybe even not even then, because let me see. Curious. Yeah, she wasn't even an underdog against Nunes. She was minus 200. I don't think she's ever been an underdog. As long as odds have been available on her, she has never been an underdog, and now she's plus 132. I understand part of it. She is 39, and the assumption is she's going to start to decline eventually, and the younger generation is going to take over, but I haven't really seen much decline from Cyborg. I mean, the Blencow fight wasn't the best because Blencow had some decent moments where she was able to strike with Cyborg. She was able to land some decent shots. But overall, I mean, Cyborg threw her around, was definitely beating her up on the feet. And to me, just doesn't seem like the woman is done yet. I don't think that she's washed at all. And Pacheco, I get it. She's in her prime. She's been looking really good. I think people are really high on that Kayla Harrison win. And I totally get it. But here's the thing. The Kayla Harrison win is really good, but that just came down to being able to defend the takedowns and being able to scramble and get back up when you do get taken down, because Kayla Harrison is a phenomenal grappler. But Kayla is not a good striker. She never has been that great of a striker. She's a grappler. The striking's decent, but she's not a great striker. And Pacheco definitely was able to outstrike her. She's got a bunch of power. She's a very good striker. Goes to the body nice, and overall just a good fighter. But I'm like looking at it, and I think Cyborg still outstrikes her. I like Cyborg striking more. I like her defense more. I like her output more. I like her cardio more. I think Pacheco does slow down. She is hittable. And the other thing is she still can be taken down. Kayla, I get it. She showed great takedown defense in the third Kayla fight, but Kayla did get her down. And then you look at the Bud fight. Bud got her down, I think, twice. And then Moknatina also got her down like twice. She's super dangerous in the first round, but after that, she starts to slow down. You could take her down. And Cyborg's, wrestling is not exactly her first choice, but she can definitely wrestle. Was throwing Blencow around when she chose to. So I kind of have to lean with Cyborg here. I have to lean with the fighter who I think, I don't know who hits harder. I kind of still lean Cyborg hitting harder, but that's probably up in the air. But I still think Cyborg is a better striker. I think Cyborg has better output. I think Cyborg's the one who's more likely to be able to take her down, and I like her cardio more. So for me, I'm going to have to go with Cyborg here. I do like that she's the underdog at plus 130. I am very tempted, but I think I'm going to wait a little bit because people seem to be really excited about Pacheco. So I'm going to let the line keep going. And if I can get something like plus 150, I would be really happy about that. Don't get me wrong. I definitely think Pacheco can win. She has been phenomenal, still in her prime and still improving, but I don't see how you get to minus 150 against Cyborg until you actually see a real decline from Cyborg, and I'm not seeing it yet. Now, the other bet that I do really like here is the over 3.5 at plus 120. I think that's a solid play because, look, I get that both of them are finishing a lot of their fights, but they're finishing women who aren't on the level of either of these two. They're finishing the lower level fighters. And then anytime they're fighting decent competition, they're usually going to a decision. Cyborg just went to a decision with Blencow, and Pacheco went all 5 rounds with Moknatina. She went all 3 rounds with Julia Budd, went all 5 rounds with Harrison. So I just don't and neither of them are chinny, and neither of them are easy to submit. So I don't really think that either of them is going to finish the other. And we don't even need the fight to go all 5 rounds. We just need to go over 3.5 to hit that play. And it's plus 120. So I do like that spot. I'm pretty happy with it. And I might also hop onto the Cyborg money line. We'll see. All right. And then our main event, we have Francis NGannou versus Renan Ferreira. NGannou 17-3-0, 38 years old, 6'4" with an 83-inch reach. Ferreira 13-3-0. He's 34. He's 4 years younger, 4 inches taller, and has a 2-inch reach advantage. This is a really tough fight to predict, right? So the first major concern is NGannou has not fought in MMA since, I believe, 2022, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, two years and 8 months since the last time he fought in MMA. And he's had those 2 boxing fights, which is great. So he's been training the striking, but has he been training everything? Not that Ferreira is probably going to come out here and grapple him, but I would like if NGannou was still able to grapple like he did in the Gane fight. That would be great. So that's what I'm wondering is, has he really been training MMA also? Has it been enough time since the AJ loss 6 months ago to hop back in? Because, he also had the tragedy. He lost his son, which is horrible. I don't know if his mind was good to train. I would imagine probably not. So that's a concern, and the layoff is a concern from MMA. Him getting knocked out 6 months ago is a concern, and him being 38 is also kind of a concern, especially because he's had issues with his body, he's had injuries, and it's just concerning. Because in general, I think he's the better fighter. I think he's the better technical striker. I think that he can wrestle, because that is the way to beat Ferreira a lot of these times. You got to take him off of his feet. You got to put him on the ground, because he is a monster. He hits like a train. He's knocking out dudes left and right. And he's also getting a little bit more technical. He's not as wild as he used to be. He's actually coming out there and sometimes taking his time. And I think that at range, he's going to have a lot of success against Ngannou, because Ngannou doesn't move much. He's very flat-footed. He's not really hopping around or anything like that. He's very flat-footed, and that's why he struggled so hard with Ciryl Gane to find Ciryl Gane, because Ciryl Gane's got such good footwork, and Ngannou's just very labory and just stepping forward. So if Ngannou's coming in flat-footed and he's just approaching, and Renan is moving and using that reach and going down the pipe, 1-2s, because that is something he does. I think he can hurt Ngannou maybe even early. I think he can have a lot of success. So that's definitely a path for Ferreira. Keep your range, move. He doesn't move like Ciryl Gane does, so it won't be that hard to find him. But the movement is pretty good. And if he just does that and tries to keep the range and use that 85-inch reach, I do think that he can kind of land some nice shots at range against Ngannou. If he lets Ngannou get into the pocket, then he's in trouble, because Renan is dangerous in the pocket as well. But I think Francis is a scarier guy there. He hits real hard. He'll go to the body really nice. And I think that's where Francis can get him. And then on top of that, Francis could probably mix in some takedowns, probably out grapple him, because once you put Ferreira on his back, he kind of struggles to get back up. But that said, he is 34. He's been working on that takedown defense. He got to the PFL very green, and the guy's out grappling him for the most part, outside of that loss to who was it? UFC vet. Blanking on the name. That wasn't a good look. Anybody who's been watching PFL for a while knows what I'm talking about. That was not a good look, but outside of that, it's all good wrestlers taking him down, out grappling him, and finishing him there on the ground. So, and Francis isn't some Russian wrestler. So maybe Ferreira could defend, and if he can, he's a real live dog. He's a real live dog. He's taking less damage. He's not the one who just got knocked out 6 months ago. Sorry. He's not the one who's been dealing with all this stuff outside of the cage. And because of that, I think he's very live. I do still have to pick Francis because, again, overall, I think he's the more technical striker. He's fought the much higher level of competition, came out here and outboxed Tyson Fury, and he will probably have some grappling upside. The wrestling did look pretty good against Gane. Gane can't really stuff takedowns, but still, that was pretty impressive. And I wouldn't be shocked at all if he was able to use that to take down Ferreira, slow him down a little bit, and win some minutes. He's got solid ground and pound too. So I will pick Francis, but I don't know if I can get to this money line. It does feel kind of good to get him at minus 240 against what is definitely a step down from what he's used to. But Ferreira is just a really dangerous guy. And with everything that I've said, with all the concerns that I've said, betting Ngannou at minus 240 still doesn't feel too great. If the line really comes in, and I get Francis at like minus 150, minus 170, maybe even, then I might be interested, because at the end of the day, like I said, I think he's the better guy still. So I'll pick Francis, but not super confident. I don't want to say dog or pass, because I don't really want to bet Renan at this number either. So yeah, it'll be Francis, likely to just not have any bets on this fight. We'll probably just enjoy it as a fan, but it is a really good fight, and I'm looking forward to it. And that's it, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Real quick, I'll run through the picks one more time. I'll give you guys the two bets that I have, and then we'll get out of here. So I'm going with Taha. I'm going with Ibragimov. I'm going with Zaynukov. I'm going with the pick is Stots, but I bet Breno. I'm going to pick McKee, but it's dog or pass, and I'll be looking at Hughes. Picking Husein, going to look at the over 1.5. Picking Edwards in this one. I'll straight up pick him. Picking Cyborg in this one, and picking Francis in this one, and that's going to be it. And the two bets that I do have already are Fabian Edwards plus 310 for a half unit, and Marcus Breno plus 475 for a half unit. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Good luck this weekend, whether it's PFL, UFC, LFA, CFFC. We have so many good fights. Good luck. If you are watching CFFC, there are two guys who I did interview who are going to be on the card. Robert Vericchio, he's fighting Alex Martinez. He's plus 210 or plus 200. Kind of like him, but I am very, very, very biased because I like him a lot. He was on the show. Me and him did train Taekwondo at the same gym as kids, apparently. I had no idea, but I don't think I remember seeing him, but I wouldn't remember. I was like 7 or 8 years old. And then the other fella is Rodriguez. He's making his pro debut, but he's like a minus 2,500 favorite. So can't really do anything, but I'm excited to see both of them fight. Shout out to them and good luck to them. And yeah, good luck to you guys once again. Peace out.